So you have been given a school project, a college project, maybe a work assignment, because without any of those intensives, nobody really cares about making a poster in Photoshop. Hey there, this is Unmesh, and today I'm going to break down the process of poster making into 3 simple stages, right from starting and planning to finishing up in Photoshop. Stay tuned, coming up. So recently I had been given an assignment to make a poster on Hyderabad tourism. So this is what I ended up with. And today we are going to learn how to make a poster using this as an example and approach the whole process in 3 simple steps. So there are 3 broad steps into making this poster: planning, collecting, and assembling. So number 1, planning. Planning is all about determining how your poster is going to look. It's about having a mind map of what is going to be your background, what is going to be your foreground, what are the images that you're going to include, whether you're going to accompany it with text, and if yes, where would you paste the text? What would be the placement of the text and the images and the background and everything else? It's about a complete format that your poster is going to follow. So let's jump straight into Photoshop and let me give you an insight about what planning actually is and how it works. So when I was planning for this poster, I just first figured out the background and then the images, foreground, text, etc. Now, let me turn off this layer. First, I need to figure out what the background is going to be. In this case, it's going to be a picture of the place, maybe a monument in the place, maybe a scenic picture of the place. For example, in this picture, I have a picture of the Hussain Sagar Lake. And why did I use that as a background? Because the background is plain. Once the lake continues, it has just one color. So I wanted to have that as a background. Then I'm going to decide the images that are going to make my foreground. For example, I want to have images here, I want to have images here, images of different places and different monuments around this place. And I've left this place. Why? For the text. I'm going to have my text here, and maybe I'm having a scenic border, a decorative border around. And then I may include a logo either here, or anywhere where it looks kind of good. So that's how you plan. You plan the placement of the objects, you plan the placement of the images, you decide what text are you going to include, you decide what images are you going to include, you design the complete design of your overall poster. So the second step is collecting. Collecting refers to collecting images, the text you are going to put up, the kind of designs that you're going to have in your poster. If you look at this image carefully, it has 7 images plus 1 logo. Now the thing is, you can collect images into 2 ways. 1, you can use your own images, and 2, you can use Google images. But you know what? A lot of my friends had this problem that when they got their images printed, when they got their posters printed, most of the images that they got from Google were blurry or pixely. You need to make sure that you download high quality images from Google Images, and also you choose the right document size in Photoshop. You should never download images directly from the Google Images page. There is a certain way to do it. Let me show you how. So let's go to Google Images. How do you do that? Let's go to googleimages.google.com, and for example, I need an image of Charminar. So I would search Charminar. And I have a lot of images. But if you look here carefully, if I hover over this image, the size shows 426 into 500, which is pretty small. And if I use this image will be pixely. Also, the size of this image is fairly good. It's 3000 by around 4000. So I can use this image. But most people, what mistake they do is they directly click here and select save image as. And if you do that, only this small image will be saved. And when you make it bigger, it will be pixely. Even if you click it and if you download from here, it won't be saved into full quality. All you have to do is, first of all, you need to sort out images that are large in size. For that, go to Search tool, Size, make sure Large is selected. And then click the image of your choice, then click View Image. always click view image, and from there you select save image as and save your image. And if you look at this image, if I zoom in 100%, it's not getting pixelated. So it's a very high quality image, and that's how you should download images from Google Images. Once you have decided the images that you want to have in your poster, you should keep and download all of them into one folder. Also, as you can see, I have downloaded the logo that I'm going to insert into my poster. So let's get back to the poster that we are going to make today. So if you look at the images of the monuments or the places, the museum, you would find that most of them are cut out. All of them except this one are cut out. So let's look closely. The fort, I have removed the skies. Also in this, I have removed the skies. I have removed the other background areas that need not be there in the poster. So our first job is going to be cutting out the part of the image that you want in your poster. So let's open all of the images except the logo. Let's open all of the images into Photoshop, and our first job is to cut them out one by one. So let's look at the first image. It's still loading the images, and I'm waiting for it to be processed. Now it has loaded the images. Now the thing I don't want in this image to be in my poster is the sky. So how do I select the skies very quickly? I know that the sky is blue, right? What if I tell Photoshop to remove anything which is blue in color? Wouldn't that be easy? So for that, go to select color range, select the sky color, select this plus, which means that I also want this color to be removed, this color to be removed. Click on the places where you have skies. And if you by mistake click here, which you shouldn't, you can always go control and Z, or command or Z. So click on the skies. Once the sky is selected, you increase and decrease the fuzziness, or increase the fuzziness to a point where the area that you have selected, in this case the skies, the area that you have selected is only visible. All the rest of the area should and must be black. So if I increase the fuzziness too much, the palace is being visible. I don't want that. I want the palace to be black. Also, I don't want the fuzziness to go so down that some of the skies is not visible. So I want to have a midpoint, a happy place where the palace is not visible and the sky is visible. So I think this is a proper number. Let's select this too. Yep, okay. Now, all you have to do, you have to press this mask button here. What does this do? This makes only the sky appear and the rest of the things disappear. So we want just the opposite. What we would do, make sure the mask is selected and press Ctrl plus I. If you're using a Mac, it's Command and I. So the sky has gone transparent. As you can see, the checker box says that it's transparent. There's nothing there. And let's crop the image. To crop the image, press press C. So the crop tool will appear, crop it till this place and press enter. We are done with this image. Then one by one, we would cut out every image that we have to. So let's go ahead. I'm going to speed up the process. I'm going to cut every images out. So let's get started. As you can see for this image, I didn't use the select color range option. I used the pen tool. See, sometimes when you don't have skies, when you have something disturbing, you are going to have to manually select things that you want in your images. For that, either you can use the polygon lasso tool or the pen tool or things like that. For example, you want to select some area with manually you want to select some area. Let's take this as an example. You want to select the bird. What would you do? You will manually select it using certain tools, right? Let me select that. We'll manually select that and then make a mask. So this was just for an example. In case the select color range doesn't work, you have to do it manually. So I have cut every other image except this because I want to specifically show you how to do this specific image. By the way, credits to Jaffrey for this beautiful image. So I wanted this image to be my background. Okay, so I don't want to cut this thing out or this buildings out. I want this to be my background. So the only thing that I don't want in this image are the rocks. So how would I do it? Simply, I would go, first of all, make a mask. Go take a brush and make it as soft as possible. Set the flow to somewhere around 35-20-ish. Okay, and make sure brush is a little bigger and just simply paint over it until it is removed. Now it's going to get simpler from here. Now let's insert a solid layer, solid adjustment layer, solid color layer. So how would we do that? Select the adjustment layer and select solid color. Click OK. Make sure that the solid color layer is beneath the main layer. So what do we do now? We simply have to match the color of this of the lake with the color of the solid color. So let's double click here and let's using the color picker, pick a color which is of the lake. Okay, click OK. Now the lake is not completely gone. The rock is not completely gone. Let's go back to this layer, take the brush again and paint over it again. Yep, and we are good to go. And this is going to be a good background. So the next thing that you need to do, which is extremely important, is to determine the size of your poster. You might have been assigned a poster size. It might have been A4 or A3 or something in square, or you might have been assigned a size of the poster. So you make sure you make a document of the same size. So I was assigned to make the poster on A3 size paper. So let's open a document in A3. That's the most essential thing to do, because most of my friends, what they did, they just simply opened a document, made the poster, and when they printed it, it turned out to be pixely and blurry. Why? Because they didn't choose the right document size. So how do you open a document in your desired size? So let's go to File, Open, File, New, and select, make sure you have selected International Paper, and if it's A3, select A3 from the drop down menu and name the document. This is very important. Name it anything, poster, okay, and click OK. Now you have the document. If you want to make the poster in a vertical mode, that's completely fine. But what if you want to make the poster horizontally? What if you want to make the poster in landscape mode? So we can rotate this, go to image rotation, 90-degree clockwise or counterclockwise, doesn't really matter because it's all white, and we are good to go. So now it's time to bring in the images that we have downloaded and edited into this poster. So that's quite a little tricky process, but we'll learn it together. First, let's go to the Golconda font, and instead of Control A, Control C, Control V, that's not what we are going to do. Let me teach you a shortcut. Keep this layer selected, go to this place, duplicate layer, and select the poster. Okay. And when you go back to poster, you see the Golconda font layer right there. Now this has its own advantages. What advantages? You have the original layer with the mask already there around it. For any reason, if you want a part of the fort back or the sky back, you can always go select the brush, select the mask, and make sure white is selected, and you can always get that back in Photoshop. If you had done Control A, Control C, that kind of thing, you would have ended up rasterizing the image and losing everything that you had erased earlier. So let's do it with all the other images. So we have done the process. We have copied all the layers back to the poster layer. So let's get back to the poster document and as you can see, every image is copied. Now what we have to do, we have to arrange it one by one. So for example, I want to arrange this, say I want to arrange the Golconda Fort first. So to arrange the Golconda Fort, this layer 1, let's name it the Golconda Fort. So I want to arrange that, but I cannot see it, and it's getting a lot difficult to do that because of all the other layers. So what I would do is to just make this layer visible. How to do this? I would press and hold Alt, okay, press and hold Alt or Option in Mac and click this. That way only this layer is selected. Then you can press Ctrl T and arrange it or place it wherever you want. Maybe you want it this much is fine. I think that's okay. Let's take it to the left a little bit, and let's go back to the another one. Okay, this one, let's turn this on. Now let's arrange this. Okay, let's flip it. Why not flip it? No, let's not flip it. Let's keep it this way. I think this way would be cool. Let's keep it this way. Yep. Now say I want to merge this layer with this one. What do? Go back to the mask, select the brush. See, that's the advantage. That's the advantage that you had. You Control C, Control V, you wouldn't have got the mask along with the image. Now let's make sure it's a black brush. Let's just rub it a little bit and see how easily it kind of starts merging. Let's get the white back. Yeah, it's done. Let's bring in the other images. Let's turn this on. Now I want the Charminar at the back of the fort. So what do? Very easy. Let's take this layer beneath the fort. I did something wrong. Let's take the Charminar layer. Let's name it Charminar so that it becomes easy. I didn't name this one, forgive me. So yeah, let's make it a little bit smaller around this, a little bit smaller from the top. Yep, that's a good place to be. Is it? Yes. Yeah. Now the Charminar is done. So the next, let's look what do we have next. So this image, what did I click? Yep. This image I wanted to have as a border. So let's just bring in this image in between. And what if I wanted one part of the image at this side and one part of the image at that side? So I want to have either sides on separate layers. So what would I do is select the rectangular marquee tool, select this part of the image, then I would go to Layer, New, Layer via Cut, or Shift, Control and J. So you have this part of the image in that layer. As you can see, the mask is gone. So I want the mask here too. So I will simply press and hold Alt, copy this mask and paste it here. Press and hold Alt or Option in Mac, drag this from here to here. So this is at a separate layer. So I can simply place it in one of the corners and I can make this bigger. Press enter. Same to do with the other one. Let's do that real and quick. Press enter and we are good to go. Now let's look at the other images. Now, since these are borders, I don't want other images to overlap these borders. So I want to make sure that these are kept at the top. So let's move it to the top. Yeah. Let's look at the other images now. What do we have here? This one. Oh, I didn't select that. This one. Okay. Make sure whenever you're editing a particular image, make sure that layer is selected. So this image doesn't seem to fit anywhere, so we might want to try and flip the image, and let's see what happens. To flip the image, you would simply press Ctrl T again, right click, flip horizontal. So I think it would fit it now. So let's try fitting the image here. Yep, it's fitting pretty well. And okay, so again, as you have spotted very clearly, I want this image at the back of the palace. What would I do? Take this image down behind the palace. Now, what are left? What is left? So what is left? Let's turn on this layer and make sure we have selected this. So I wanted this image to be the background. So I wanted to make it as big as possible. Also at the same time, I wanted this to be at the back. So at the back. So but there is a problem. What is the problem? The problem is the solid layer that we had created in this image, the solid color layer, has not been copied. So how to bring that back? Let's go back to the image. I don't even remember what was. Yes, this is the image, and I also want this layer back in the poster document. So I click this layer, go to duplicate layer, and get to the poster. Select poster, click OK. Now let's get back to the poster document. As you can see, let's take this layer to the back. As you can see, this background color has already been applied. Now let's make this bigger to the size of the document. And we also need to make sure that this monolith statue does not clash with one of these mosques or monuments. So it's okay-ish. Yep. We are good to go. Now you might think that we are done with the statue and just the text is remaining. But there is a big problem in the statue, a very, very huge problem. The problem is when you zoom out, you see that there is a lot of hodgepodge in this area. It's not clear. It looks very crowded, and the kind of monuments doesn't seem separated. So how do you do that? You first want this two monuments to be in one group. So I want this monument, this one, and the Golconda Fort to be in one group. Let's select both of these and press Ctrl+G or Command G. I want this to have a shadow so that you can easily differentiate between these monuments and the other ones. So right click, go to blending options and select drop shadow. So you see you have a shadow right there. So once you select drop shadow, you can select the source of light. So I want the source of light to be around from here. That means the light is coming from this direction to this direction. So the direction of light we have selected. The opacity means how dark the shadow would be. So let's keep this opacity, the distance of the shadow, fine, and the size of the shadow. So let's increase the opacity a little bit and we are good to go. Also, we want to group these two and we want to have their shadows. So, but hell yeah, I forgot this image. I forgot to put this image. Let's just put it somewhere. Where shall I put this? Let me put this around here. Let me put this here. Okay. It's looking fine. Let's take it down a notch. Take it down, but not so down. Yeah, it's doing fine. But again, there's a problem. As you can see that there is a part of the image that is the border of the image that has remained. We need to remove that border. How do we do that? Go back to the mask. See, this is the advantage of the mask again. Go back to the mask, select the brush, make sure black is selected, increase the flow a little bit, and then paint over this area. Yep, and we are good to go. Now let's take this a little bit upwards. This one is too low. Let's take this a little bit up. Yep, it's doing fine now. Yep, it's doing great. Now, so I want to group, I don't want to group, I think. I want to have shadows for this Charminar. So let's select the Charminar layer and again go to blending options, drop shadow. Yep, the same kind of shadow selected, but I want a lesser opacity. So I want to have a lesser opacity and I want to decrease the distance a bit and the size. I want to tweak the size a little bit. Let's decrease the distance a little bit more. Yep, and that's good to go. Now let's go back to this one and again go to blending options, drop shadow, and this time I want to have the opacity a little bit more and I want to increase the distance a tad bit. Click OK, and then this one's shadow is remaining. Let's go back to this one and select blending options, drop shadow, and let's decrease the opacity a tad bit, decrease the distance a little bit, and we are good to go. Now that's look kind of much better than what we had without the shadows. Now let's add the text. To simply add the text, let's go to the T or press T and select this place and write anything that you want. My favorite font Bickham Script Pro is selected. Live, let me type live the Nizam life. Now we can actually customize the text as I talked about it in one of the other tutorials. If you want to specifically know how to customize the text, go and watch the other tutorial that I've already made. So suppose I will make that bigger, but suppose I want the L to be different. How do I do that? Go to Windows, Glyphs, right? Once the Glyphs panel has opened, select the L and select alternates for selection and select the L of your choice. I love this L. Then for example, you want a different E right here. Okay, so you select the E of your choice and you're good to go. Maybe you want a different N, select the N, but the N is too big so let that be a normal N. Normal N was much better. So that's it. So okay, so the N has not reverted back. So let's select the N and let's go back to Glyphs and select the normal N. It's two N's are selected. I don't know what's happening. Okay, let's get this back. Now, as I zoomed in, I just saw that there's a half bird right here. So I would go back to this layer of which bird is a part of. This is the part of this layer. Go back to the mask, select the brush and paint with black. Yep. Let's come back to the text layer. And suppose I want to change the L also again. Let's go back to the Glyphs and let's this time select this L. Yep. So we have two different L's in this text. So that's kind of exciting. Let's decrease the space between M and L. So I select the arrow. So I insert the cursor right there and press Alt option and the left arrow key. So the difference will be reduced. Right arrow key to increase, left arrow key to decrease. So once you have it, let me put the 3 dots after the E. Okay. I think the N should be a little bit bigger. That would kind of make the text look more better because the Nizam is an important thing in this text. So let's make the N a tad bit different and kind of big. This N is good. Yep. How does that look? Let's close this. Yeah, that's good. Again, what we have to do, we have to decrease the space between the E of the and the N. Let's decrease the space a little bit, not too much. Yeah, and we are done with the text. So what we have to do, select the text and let's make it a little bit bigger. And look how nice it looks when the text is behind the Charminar. So, but as you can see, a part of the N goes right above the Charminar. What if we want the Charminar, so one of the pillars of the Charminar, to go above the text. Simply just you need to have the layer of the Charminar. Let's take it upwards. Let's take it above the text layer, but that creates a problem. It also comes in front of the fourth layer. So let's go back and let's take the text layer beneath the Charminar layer. So this works much better. So we have the poster already. So if you are satisfied with this poster right now, then go and start making, because there is a lot more to the video. As you might have noticed, if you are an artist, you might have noticed this straight away, that some of the colors of the images don't match with the kind of mood that's there in the overall poster. So as you can see, the font is a little bit bluish in tint, and also this one is a little bit greenish, but the background is a little bit yellowish. So we need to make sure that the images are a little bit yellowish and their tints and the contrast and the exposure matches with that of the background. So let's go back and select the first layer that we have, the Golconda fort. The fort, where is that Golconda fort layer? So, okay, so we had made a group out of that layer. Now I remember that we had made a group. Let's turn on the group and one by one, let's edit the images. So the Golconda fort is selected. I would go to filter, camera raw filter, and now the camera raw filter is loading. Let it load a little bit. Yeah, it's loaded. Now let's increase the temperature a little bit, make it a little more yellowish. And let's increase the contrast a little bit. Not that much. Click OK. And see how the colors of the fort matches with the background. That's the same process that we are going to do with all other images. We are going to tweak the settings in the camera raw filter to match with the background. So I'm going to speed this process up for you. So we are almost done with the poster except for one thing. Guess. Any guesses? Yup. The logo. The logo is left, so how do we import the logo? Simply just locate the logo, drag it to Photoshop and paste it here. Yep. And let's resize that and place the logo where you want, either here or here, wherever you deem fit. Let's place it here. Press enter. And our poster, let's make it a little bit smaller. And our poster is ready to hit the walls. So guys, that's all for today. Hope it helped with your project, and if it did, please do me a huge favor, please do me a little favor rather, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Till then, stay tuned and happy Photoshop.